and passing through New York, though arriving last night under a lazy half moon. Hit Twitter to understand fully. CBS News.
That's right.
Chief
and
White
Instagram,
House.
for goodness sake.
Correspondent Major Garrett. Lovely work by you. You were returning from the great state of
Mississippi, yes.
Where we heard some harsh words from the GOP nominee with regard to the Democratic nominee, really a harsh word, just called her a bigot.
Yeah.
I spoke to Kellyanne Conway, Trump's campaign manager, today. She said, well, perhaps he meant her bigoted policies.
Right.
But those are two very, very different things, and seems perhaps, with regard to the poll numbers we're seeing, some grade A pandering.
Well, of course. And for Trump, this is yet another example of what he does when he is introduced to a kind of series of pseudo-intellectual conservative talking points. These would be the ones about urban blight and the decay of the inner cities and the misrule of American urban life by Democratic mayors. That's been a long-running conservative argument on behalf of Republican approaches to local government and, writ large, national government. Lower taxes, create better schools, more aggressive, community-oriented policing, do those sorts of things, and urban America will revive itself. And one of the exemplars of that is allegedly one of Trump's most conspicuous supporters, former mayor of this city, Rudy Giuliani, who says, I did a lot of those things. What is left out is the idea that all of urban America is terrible. That's what Trump wants to sort of say. Everyone there lives a life that's riddled with crime, desperate poverty, and no hope for their educational achievement or advancement. That's not even close to what urban America looks like or acts like or lives like. And so Trump has this sort of stereotyped, heavily stereotyped version of America, kind of baked in a 60s mentality. And so the top rhetorical way of driving that is to say, well, if you're in favor of all this, you've got to be a bigot. What else could you be? Because you must not care about these people. I mean, that's sort of how Trump gets there, in a kind of crude, caustic, pseudo-intellectual way.
To be cynical, is it also perhaps something of a preemptory strike against what we expect to hear from Hillary Clinton with regard to the alt-right movement today?
Yes, probably. But I rarely, and with a lot of experience covering this campaign, have learned not to ascribe deep, strategic, either insights or approaches. And I'm not saying that in a negative or condescending way. Trump will tell you he isn't strategic in a traditional political sense. He works on gut instinct and driving an idea or a concept with words that capture attention, possibly someone's imagination, or create tremendous controversy in their wake. That's what he does. And so he doesn't think about this in a strategic, poll-tested, focus group way at all. He doesn't act that way. That's one of the reasons a lot of his supporters like him.
We also saw Nigel Farage, leader of the Brexit movement, step to the microphone, really in all places, Mississippi, last night. It was jarring to a degree, but how did it play in the room?
They were generally favorable to it. I mean, we were in Mississippi for unknown reasons, utterly unknown reasons. I mean, there was a small fundraiser in Jackson, Mississippi.
As curious as the candidate campaigning in Connecticut just a week ago.
Right. But I would say even more curious, because Trump's going to win Mississippi. And if he doesn't, then we're talking about a complete blowout of near historic proportions. No Republican nominee this late in the campaign goes to Mississippi. If Kellyanne Conway were being 100% frank, or anyone in the Trump inner circle, they would say this was just a wasted effort because it's not a place where you should attempt to get media attention or rally supporters. But they did it anyway. And then to have Nigel Farage there sort of say, look, I was where you are now. I was disrespected. I was looked down upon by the intellectuals. I was dismissed by the elite, and I was told by the pollsters we couldn't win. That's exactly where you are now. And look what I did. Look what you can do. In Britain, it was an uprising against a bureaucracy in Brussels, the European Union. What Trump says is essentially we have a Brussels in America. It's in Washington. And you've got to rise up against that bureaucracy, reclaim your country, and reassert your essential American nationalism. That's what Farage was helping whip up there in Mississippi. To what political effect? Probably none there. And if Trump is looking for a way to say, if you don't like elites, you like me, we've sort of been there for about 12 months.
We have existed in that space for just a bit. You specifically, Major Garrett, here, but always
on the road to somewhere.
On the way to somewhere. Thank you, my friend.
Thanks.